Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America. So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel protesters.
I mean, you know, you got a stark difference. You have the protests that were in Washington, D.C. Steve was telling us that he just lived miles away from, where he is from in the studio is just miles away from where he lives. And it took him like an hour to get home because of all the protests and everything. But you had people who were burning the American flag, spray painting our national monuments with Hamas is coming. And you contrast that with Frat Boy Summer. And those dudes were protecting the flag. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. Top of the second hour. You can listen coast to coast. You can stream the radio program as well. Watch the simulcast, channel 347, DirecTV, Rumble, where there's always a chat, and X. The riots. They were all flipping out because Netanyahu was in D.C. speaking to joint session of Congress, right? They were being bussed, as they always are, being bussed into D.C. They were being bussed into D.C. And our good friend Julio Rosas has tons of really good footage as well, where they were chasing police officers. Did you guys see the one video? And I saved it, but it was deleted on my bookmark system. There was a cop who was getting he got separated from the other cops and he was getting tossed around by the protesters. Did you guys see all that? That was wild. They were attacking police. And these are pro-Hamas, anti-Jewish protesters. When you're carrying a Hamas flag, you don't get to call yourself just anti-Israel. You're anti-Jewish. They made arrests. The mob was, vicious. They had to use pepper spray to push the crowd back. It looked insane. And the protesters, they took all the American flags out of Union Station. This is in D.C. They lit them on fire. They lit a Netanyahu effigy on fire. And they replaced all the U.S. flags with the Gazan flags, which is the Hamas flag, because Palestine is not a real place. It's a fictional entity that was created by people who hate Jewish people. And so some people are saying, oh, this is a sign of violence to come this summer. We're like over halfway through the summer. But I think it's not summer stuff. They're gearing up for election stuff. That's what this is. They need to get out the vote mechanism. And this is a way to do it. You had Kamala Harris who said nothing about these riots, these destructive riots, these attempted coups. And she did not preside over the Senate because she was mad that Netanyahu was speaking, because she's bending a knee to the Dearbornistan voters. That's it. She just got, what statement did she put out? This is a woman who literally advertised and donated to bail funds for rioters post George Floyd. Remember, they were burning down towns, burning down businesses. And I don't know. Now she just was very quiet. It was the Minnesota Bail Fund that she raised money for. She said, she condemns people who associate with Hamas, etc. She condemns the burning of the flag, blah, blah. She put out a statement. How many things did they say about J6 stuff? How many things did they say about that? No, it's not good enough. A little puny statement, a couple of paragraphs is not good enough, especially after you raised money through the Minnesota Bail Fund and then bailed out people who were awaiting trial for very, very violent crimes, including some people were convicted of rape, convicted rapists. Yeah, so no. This, for people who say that this was in any way that, it's about Gaza and it's about, because I don't say Palestine because Palestine's a fictional place. I don't recognize Palestine as being in existence. It's a fictional place. It's a fictional name. It's not its own ethnicity. It was a name that was spitefully given to that land as an affront to the Jews. It was named after, essentially the Philistines who were from Crete And it was by Hadrian, who did it after the Second Judean Uprising. So understanding the history of this, you realize that and Palestine's never existed in all of antiquity. Either it's not noted by the Bible, not noted by the Quran. So I don't believe that men can have vaginas, I also don't believe in fictional places on the map. So we call it Gaza. So it was never about that. This was always ever about hating the Jews and hating Israel, because that's where Jewish people live, and that's what it's always ever been about. That's why you saw Hamas flags. That's why you saw Hamas flags there. This might be something that gets bigger. And this is also why, again, she did not show up to preside over the Senate as she is supposed to do. And it's why she wasn't there. She just sent out a little statement about it, and that was it. And they said too, and this is from Julio Rosas, that they didn't. I saw a quick piece on this too. They didn't make a lot of arrests, and they said they didn't make a lot of arrests because they didn't have a lot of staff. Julio Rosas says they only had 29 officers for crowd control. I mean, I understand that there's not a lot of staff, but only 29. According to the Fraternal Order of Police United States Park Labor Committee, quote, "We simply did not have the staffing or resources to accomplish a mass arrest operation." And Rosas notes that D.C. Metro Police and Capitol Police were on the other side of the Columbus Circle, and they did support Park Police, but only after Park Police officers had moved away from the crowd. And the mob chased the police. And then they had to use pepper spray to push the mob back. Can the left stop being violent for like 5 damn seconds? I mean, you guys just try to shoot and kill the president. Can you just stop for 5 damn seconds? Stop being violent. Stop burning stuff. Stop defacing stuff. Stop the vandalism for 5 seconds. Is it possible to not be absolute, poo-flinging barbarians? That's an insult to barbarians. Just stop. I mean, and I'm watching people get arrested, and it's always the ugly people or dirty hippies. Like this one chick who's being arrested, she's a dirty Marxist hippie, and I can smell her through my monitor cane. It's like the worst Tom's of Maine sour scent ever. I can just, ugh. Some things are too strong. They bridge time and space. Do you think the FBI is going to get involved in this? Are they going to chase down the people that have been defacing the national monuments and spray painting threats like Hamas is coming? There's only one response to Hamas is coming. That's the sound of wrecking something. That's all I'm saying. But are there going to be any investigations? No, there's not. That's a rhetorical question, because the FBI is only concerned about grandmothers who cast a wayward look at the Capitol on January 6th. They're not interested in actual violent people. Just like they're not really, I mean, I don't really think that the upper echelon, the people who make the decisions, are actually interested about the murderer who tried to kill a former president. I don't know. I don't think. They're going to try to use this to snuff out any kind of controversy regarding the border. All of this, these are all pieces on the board, guys. They're going to use all this stuff as it relates to Gaza. They're going to use this to try to amplify or get some momentum going as a get out the vote mechanism for their side. And they're also going to use it to distract from her lack of support and the condemnation towards her over the border, Kamala Harris over the border. That's what this is all going to be used for. So you'll probably start to see more about it. I would imagine that they're going to have more manufactured riots over it. People who are going to pretend that they're very upset about what's happening in Gaza, even though it's Hamas that's done it to their people, and they're only upset when Israel defends itself. So I can't take any of these people seriously. The people who never say a damn thing about the American hostages that are still in captivity. They don't say anything about that, but they want to go out and be scenesters and make it look like they're, cool or something. And they're going to put on their little picnic blanket and, go out there in the street and act like an ass. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to be used like puppets as a get out the vote mechanism by the left, because that's what the left always does. Just asinine. But that's what they're going to do.